What if I told you that the world is not controlled by the kindest people, but by the smartest and most strategic ones? Most people believe that honesty and goodness are enough to succeed in life. But history tells a different story. Behind every powerful leader, every empire, and every political victory, there is always strategy, calculation, and sometimes even cold decisions. There was one man who understood this reality better than anyone else, and his ideas were so honest, so direct, that people called him dangerous. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. Some people believed he was evil, others believed he was a genius, but no one could deny that he revealed the true nature of power. Even after more than 500 years, his ideas are still studied, still feared, and still used by leaders around the world. If you understand what Machiavelli taught, you will start to see the world differently, and you will realize that power does not belong to the good or the bad. It belongs to those who understand how the world really works. Niccolò Machiavelli was born in Italy during a time of political chaos, war, and betrayal. Governments were falling, rulers were being replaced, and every city was fighting for control. In this dangerous world, Machiavelli worked in politics and saw how leaders actually behaved when they wanted to gain power or protect it. He noticed something that most people did not want to accept. Leaders did not survive by being nice, they survived by being smart, careful, and sometimes ruthless. After losing his position in government, he started writing about everything he had learned. He wrote a book called The Prince, and this book became one of the most famous and controversial books in history. Instead of teaching people how to be moral, he explained how rulers really think, how they make decisions, and how they stay in control even when the situation becomes cruel. Many people were shocked because he spoke about power without hiding the truth. He did not describe the world as it should be. He described the world as it is. People started calling Machiavelli dangerous because his ideas were different from what society wanted to hear. Most philosophers before him talked about justice, kindness, and honor, but Machiavelli talked about fear, control, and survival. He believed that human beings are naturally selfish, and when their interests change, their loyalty also changes. According to him, a leader who trusts everyone will lose everything. He explained that if someone wants to rule, they must understand human weakness because people are easily influenced by fear, desire, and ambition. One of his most shocking beliefs was that being loved is not always safe, because love depends on feelings, and feelings can change at any time. Fear, however, is stronger, because people are less likely to betray someone they are afraid of. These ideas made many people uncomfortable, but they also made his work powerful, because he was saying what others were afraid to say. Machiavelli was not trying to make the world darker. He was trying to show that the world was already like that, and only those who understand this truth can survive in it. One of the most famous ideas of Niccolò Machiavelli comes from his book The Prince, where he explains a rule that shocked the world and made his name controversial for centuries. He wrote that it is better for a ruler to be feared than loved if he cannot be both. This sentence sounds cold, but Machiavelli was not trying to be cruel. He was trying to describe human nature as it really is. He believed that love is something that people give when it is easy for them, but fear is something they remember even when they want to forget. When people love you, they stay loyal only as long as it benefits them, but when they fear you, they think twice before betraying you. According to Machiavelli, a leader who depends only on kindness becomes weak, because the world is full of people who take advantage of weakness. He observed rulers losing their kingdoms because they trusted too much, forgave too easily, or tried too hard to be liked. In his view, power requires balance. A leader should not be hated, but he should never allow himself to look helpless. Fear creates discipline, and discipline keeps control. This is why many powerful leaders in history followed this rule even if they never admitted it. They understood that respect often comes from strength, not from softness. Machiavelli did not say that cruelty is always good, but he warned that too much mercy can destroy authority. His message was simple but uncomfortable. If you want to survive in a world full of competition, you must understand that emotions do not rule people. Consequences do. Those who know this can protect their position, and those who ignore it often lose everything they worked for. Machiavelli also believed that the biggest mistake people make is thinking that the world is fair. He saw again and again that good people can fail, while clever and strategic people rise to the top. This does not happen because the world hates goodness, but because the world rewards those who understand how it works. In politics, in business, and even in daily life, decisions are not always made based on what is right, but on what is useful. Machiavelli explained that a successful person must learn how to adapt, because situations change and rules change with them. Someone who always acts the same way in every situation becomes predictable, and predictable people are easy to defeat. He believed that a wise leader studies human behavior, watches carefully and chooses actions based on results, not on feelings. This idea made many people uncomfortable because it removed the illusion that success comes only from being honest and hardworking. Machiavelli did not reject morality completely, but he warned that morality alone cannot protect you in a competitive world. Sometimes you must stay silent. Sometimes you must act strong, and sometimes you must make decisions that others will not understand. According to him, power belongs to those who see reality clearly and accept that life is not always simple. Those who refuse to see this truth often blame luck or fate. But those who understand strategy create their own path. This is why his ideas still feel dangerous today, because they force people to question what they believe about success, leadership, and human nature. The ideas of Niccolò Machiavelli became even more controversial after he wrote his famous book, The Prince. When the book started spreading across Europe, many religious leaders and scholars were shocked by what they read. They believed that his words were too dangerous for ordinary people, because he explained power without hiding its dark side. In many places, the book was banned, and some authorities warned people not to read it at all. The reason was not that the book was meaningless, but that it was too honest. Machiavelli described how rulers actually think when they want to gain control or protect their position. He wrote about deception, strategy, fear, and manipulation as tools that leaders sometimes use when they feel threatened. For people who wanted to believe that rulers always act with honor, this was difficult to accept. But history showed again and again that his observations were not imaginary. Kingdoms were lost because of weak decisions, and empires were built by leaders who understood timing, strength, and human behavior. Machiavelli believed that hiding the truth makes people unprepared, and unprepared people are easily defeated. He wanted readers to understand that the world of power is not the same as the world of dreams. In his view, a person who wants to survive must learn how the game is really played. This is why the book remained famous even when it was criticized, because many readers secretly felt that he was describing reality more clearly than anyone else. Over time, the name Machiavelli itself became a symbol of cold intelligence and strategic thinking. And even today, people use his name when they talk about someone who knows how to control situations. Even after more than 500 years, the ideas of Machiavelli did not disappear. In fact, many people believe his influence became stronger in the modern world. Politics, business, and competition all follow rules that are very similar to what he described long ago. Leaders may speak about honesty and fairness in public, but behind the scenes they still think about power, risk, and survival. This is why his work is still studied in universities and discussed by people who want to understand leadership and strategy. His message was never meant only for kings or princes. It can also be applied to everyday life, because every person faces situations where trust, fear, loyalty, and ambition play a role. In relationships, in careers, and in social life, people often hide their real intentions, and those who cannot see this become easy targets. Machiavelli warned that being completely naive in a competitive world can be dangerous. He believed that strength does not always mean violence, but it means awareness, self-control, and the ability to make hard decisions when necessary. Many successful people follow this idea without even knowing his name. They watch carefully, they speak less, and they act at the right moment. His philosophy teaches that understanding human nature gives you an advantage, because you stop expecting the world to be perfect and start learning how to move inside it. This is why his ideas continue to feel powerful today, because the world has changed in technology and culture, but human behavior is still very similar to what he observed centuries ago. In the end, the real lesson of Niccolò Machiavelli is not about becoming evil, and it is not about hurting others for power. The real lesson is about understanding the world without illusions. Many people go through life believing that everyone will be fair, honest, and loyal, but reality often proves the opposite. Machiavelli believed that a person who refuses to see the truth becomes weak, not because he lacks intelligence, but because he trusts the world more than he understands it. He explained that strength comes from awareness. When you understand how people think, how fear works, and how ambition drives human behavior, you stop being surprised by betrayal and you start being prepared for it. According to him, wisdom is not only knowing what is right, but also knowing what is possible. Sometimes you must stay silent even when you want to speak. Sometimes you must look strong even when you feel unsure. And sometimes you must make decisions that others will never fully understand. This does not mean losing your humanity. It means protecting yourself in a world where not everyone plays by the same rules. Machiavelli believed that those who learn how power works are not always the most loved, but they are often the ones who survive the longest. His philosophy forces people to accept that life is not a simple story of good and bad, but a complex game where choices have consequences. Those who ignore this reality may live comfortably for a while, but when real challenges appear, they do not know how to respond. Those who study strategy, patience, and human nature have a better chance to stay in control of their future. This is why his ideas still feel uncomfortable today, because they remove the comfort of illusions and replace it with responsibility. When you see the world clearly, you cannot blame luck for everything, and you cannot depend only on kindness to protect you. You must think, observe, and decide with care. If you want to understand power, psychology, and the hidden rules that control the world, then this is only the beginning. The teachings of Machiavelli are deeper than most people realize, and every rule reveals something about human nature that many prefer to ignore. On this channel, we will explore these ideas step by step, not to make the world darker, but to understand it better. Because when you understand how people think, you stop being controlled by their actions. When you understand strategy, you stop being lost in confusion. And when you understand power, you stop being afraid of the world. If you want to see the reality behind success, leadership, and influence, stay connected to Coded Mind. Because here we do not follow what everyone says, we study what actually works.